Hey, how's it going? How's everybody doing? Um, Decided to finally get going the Tales from the Kitchen that I talked about a month ago that I wanted to start doing. I just haven't had the time to really do it. I've just been working a lot, the usual crap that most of us deal with every single day. But so yeah, I got stories on top of stories about working in kitchens over the last 30 or so years. Um, from various restaurants. Originally, I was going to do this chronologically. Started early when I was like a kid working at McDonald's, and then progressing through the years to more modern times, a little more comfortable there. But I'm just going to pick random stories out of a hat, so to speak, and just kind of do it like that rather than sort of tell my life story. It's a little bit more interesting. Threw on an old chef jacket. You can see I didn't bother to iron it. This is one I don't wear anymore because number one is white. My jackets I prefer to wear black ones because, well, they don't stain as easily. And got a hat on. It's not actually. It's more of a baker's hat. They're not really chef hats, but anyway, throw that on. It's actually my Christmas one. But it's not Christmas if you turn it around. So anyway, this is I'm going to go back to when I was about 19 years old, and I was working in a place that doesn't exist anymore called the Village Bistro, and I'm going to tell a couple of stories about that and the owner who I used to intentionally drive up the freaking wall just because. Well, number one, the guy was a dick, and he was a cranky old man. Says I call him a cranky old man, but in reality, he was 10 years younger than I am now. But at 19, a 40-year-old guy seems like an old man. But also, to be fair, he acted a lot older than he was, or maybe I just act a little bit too immature for my age. I'm gonna go with the second one because I like being a big kid. But excuse me. Anyway, I used to drive this guy up the wall, and I used to intentionally talk to him like I was slow, and not to make fun of people who actually have mental issues. I don't need any nasty messages. I'm not going that route. But there's a stool there. Anyway, so I used to do all kinds of things, just drive him up, just drive him crazy, because I was 19, zero fucks to give, and I was just having fun. So things I would do, for example, is one example is he's on the line working, and it was kind of a narrow line. If you don't know what no kitchens, the line is just the area where you cook, and it's usually a long straight line because you got all your ovens and your grill, fryers, whatever, on one side, and then on the other side you usually have your counter and the window that you put the food up. So it's called a line. And anyway, so back then, I didn't know when you walk down the line, you're supposed to say behind. It's a common thing. You let the people know you so they don't turn and bump into you. They don't spill something. You don't get hurt. They don't get hurt. You don't get stabbed, burnt, whatever. Right? It's a lot of things can happen. So I didn't know that. So I just kept walking behind him, and I was putting things away. It was the way that he had the kitchen. He had this big pizza oven that he never used. The thing was massive. He didn't sell any pizzas. He just cooked bruschetta in it, basically. And the thing was about this big for little pieces of bread about that big. I don't know why he kept it when he bought the place, but anyway, he he kept bumping into me, so he turns around and he yells at me with this. He was an Austrian guy, and he had a thick Austrian accent. Kind of, it's gonna sound like I'm trying to imitate Arnold when I make fun of the things he would say, but anyway, he turns around and he goes, "When you walk behind me, I want to know you're there. Do you understand?" So I said, "Okay." And that's how I would always talk to him, like, "Okay." And then I walked back to the dish pit. I was only the dishwasher at the time. So I walked back to the dish pit, and I've got these big metal mixing bowls that I'm putting, that I have to put away. So I walk behind him, and I've got them in my hand, and so as I walk behind, I'm like, "Stomp, stomp, stomp, stomp." And I walked right to where the ovens are, slammed them down on the ground, or slammed them down where they go really loud. And the sous chef, this guy Tom, he was a nice guy. I got along good with him. He was a younger guy, I guess. Like he was about 23, 24. He was the sous chef, and he was also his apprentice. So he hears it. He stops. He freezes. He's like, "Oh shit!" So I slam the bowls down, and then I stomp, stomp, stomp back to the dish. I wasn't mad. I was just doing it to be an asshole or to be spiteful or funny, annoying, whatever. So as I'm walking back, now Rudy was about this tall. Like, he was taller than me. Everyone's taller than me. I'm not a tall guy, but he was kind of intimidating. So I didn't realize as I'm walking back, he turned and he's like right behind me, and I didn't know. So I get to the dish pit and I turn to the sink, and he's like right here, and I was just, bah! And he looks, "What the hell are you doing?" And in this exact voice, I go, "Well, you said that when I walk behind you, you want to know that I'm there. So I was just making some noise, so you knew I was there." And he looks at me. Now, this isn't the first time I've ever pissed him off, and he's just, "You're a big stupid." And you have to understand, everybody to him was a big stupid. Not a big stupid idiot, not a big stupid moron, just a big stupid. That's all I said. "You're a big stupid. He's a big stupid." Everybody was a big stupid. So anyway, he goes back and does this thing. And I don't remember what happened after that day, but another time was I was doing something, and he's calling my name, and he's calling my real name, but I'll say Jack for the story, but he's like, "Jack." And I'm not really paying attention. I'm kind of doing something. And then finally he yells it really loud, "Jack!" And I turn and goes, "How many times do I have to call you?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Let's find out." He's like, mm. So he says to me, "When I call your name, I want you to jump." So, okay. So a little while later, time goes by, and I'm doing something here. "Jack!" So, and I'm prepping some lettuce or something. I go, "Jack!" I jump. Keep doing that. "Jack!" And jump again. Keep doing what I'm doing. "Jack!" And I jump a third time, and he comes over me again. He always said the same thing. "What the hell are you doing?" I said, "Well, when you said you wanted to, when you call my name, you want me to jump, so I was jumping." And just the look on his face, I could just tell he wants to strangle me. He wants to punch me as hard as he can. And he's like, "I don't mean actual jump. I mean, I want you to answer me." Like, oh. It was so, like, I would just talk to him like that all the time, and Tom knew I was just fucking with him, but, and everyone else that worked there did too, but I don't know if he quite got it, but it was always a good time, just infuriating him. I'm trying to think. I know there's more. I just, off the top of my head, I just can't really think of any. I should have wrote it down, but I didn't. But there was one time though. He told, when Tracy was my girlfriend, that to come in through the back door. He didn't want her to come in the front door because the way we dress. We're kind of gothy at the time, and she's all in black and stuff. So her and a friend of mine from, I was living in Uxbridge at the time, which is a small town northeast of Toronto, about an hour away from Toronto. And I had a friend from Mississauga, which is on the other side of Toronto. It's like the next major city over from Toronto. But anyway, he was visiting us. We were having a party. So I was working, and the two of them, they come up through the back door, and they're staying by the kitchen. And he comes over and he starts yelling at the two of them, saying, "Why do you come into the back door?" Even though he had told us multiple times, told her multiple times, well, told me, I guess I told her, to come in through the back door. So that's what she'd been doing. And she'd been doing it for a while. It'd never been an issue. So anyway, he comes, "That's for staff only. You have no right coming in there." Yeah. But yelling, and I'm mad. So I go to my friend, I go, "Yeah, that guy's an asshole." And she already knew that. And he's like, "Oh, really? I couldn't tell," just being sarcastic, which is kind of funny. So they leave, and they leave through the back door, which is kind of funny too. So a few minutes go by, and it's kind of replaying in my head. And I walk right up to him. He's sitting there. There's no customers anymore at this point. I think there wasn't any there anyway. But I went out and I walked in. He said, "What do you want?" And I looked at him right and I go, "You ever fucking talk to her that way again, I swear to God, I'll punch you right in the mouth," or whatever it was I said. And he just kind of backed up. I think suddenly I'm talking normal. First of all, I'm mad as hell and I'm threatening him. And I don't think he knew how to respond to that. He just kind of looked at me. And then, I went back in the kitchen, did my shit. And then about 2 minutes later, he comes in with a couple of, not Heineken's, Gosser. It's another German beer. I think it's German or Austrian. Anyway, comes in the kitchen. He's like, cracks it open and apologizes for yelling at her and, cheers. And we never got along good after that. He was still an asshole. But the fact that he apologized was kind of a big deal because he never apologized to anybody. Like, he was the kind of guy, give you an example, he would yell at his customers. He couldn't hold on to staff because he treated everybody like shit. So he would work lunch shift alone. He would do everything, do all the cooking, serve tables, get the drinks, and he basically screwing himself over because who the hell wants to go to a restaurant and have to wait half an hour for something because, like, half an hour longer than you should for even like an appetizer because the owner is trying to do everything. And he even yelled at guests sometimes, "You see, I'm alone. Why would you come and order all this stuff?" It's like, it's a restaurant. It's a business. That's how it works. But anyway, he had this big wart growing out of his forehead. And his name was Rudy. We used to call him Rudy the Big Wart Chef. Just because we didn't like him. And one time, there was a customer that used to come in there every single day. I can't remember her name. I think her name was Helen. She was an older woman. She was probably in her 60s at the time. And it was near... He had to shut down, and then it was bought by someone else. And it was I worked for them too, but they were much better. Well, to a point. But anyway, she ordered her food and everything and ate it and got a dessert. And he starts going off about, "Oh, this town, everybody's stupid. Everyone's a big stupid. Stupid this, stupid that." And saying that she's an idiot for living here and all this other stuff. So finally she got mad. There's a woman in her 60s, I'm going to say a little old lady. Like, 60s isn't necessarily old, but, she was retired. She was a little frail. Maybe she was even older. I'm not sure. Trying to choose my words carefully because my parents are in their 70s or in their 60s, and to me they're not old by any stretch. They're very young, 60s. But she took her pie and she threw it on the floor. I wasn't there, the sous chef was there, and he told me about it. Threw it on the floor, yelled something, called him an F in this and an F in that, and stormed out, didn't pay or anything, and just left. And and going on about how she'd been going there he had the restaurant for about 2 years, maybe a little less, before he was kind of forced to close it. But because it's a small town, you don't treat your customers like shit in a small town because it's a small town. Downtown Toronto, you can make the people back. But small towns, people are gonna start talking. Don't go there. That guy's a dick. Don't go there, and you're gonna lose your business. So bad choices on his side. But anyway, F and this, F you, and all this. I've given you so much money over the years, and this is the way you're gonna talk to me because you're closing. You. But it is what it is. And then after he sold it to another guy named Piero Angelo and Frank, and I'm still on and off. I chat with Frank every once in a while, but on Facebook, not too much lately. But when he bought the restaurant, there was so much grease apparently behind the stove. Now Pierangelo is a very outspoken. He would climb up one side of you and go down the other if he had to. He doesn't care. He didn't take shit from anyone. So he called him back, made him clean all the grease behind the stove, get down on his hands and knees and scrape it all up, or he said he was going to sue him because the restaurant wouldn't have been able to legally open if the fire inspector came in and saw all that, because it would have been a fire hazard for sure. And so they're yelling back and forth. Angelo was probably saying along, "Shut the fuck up, I just cleaned the shit." That's how he talked. But I would have loved to have seen that. That would have been hilarious. But anyway, that's gonna be it for today's first one. It was a little bit rough, but I got a lot more going on, especially when I get into the I'm gonna say Lagrota years, because there was a lot of shit happening, especially the last 2 years I was there. A lot of bullshit and a lot of revenge without the owners even knowing. But we will get into those videos. If you have any questions, any things like what was the worst thing you ever saw, the funniest thing, or whatever, any sort of things I could talk about in a video, just post a comment below, and I'll see what I can do. And thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate that. Get up to that 1,000 subscribers. I still got a little ways to go, quite a ways to go, in fact. So that would be helping me out a lot. All right, so everybody be safe, work safe, play safe, and until the next one, bye.